All right, let's start getting our user data. So to do this, let's go into our projects window. Let's right-click on our layouts folder to add a new layout. Let's add an event sheet along with it, and let's call it our stats menu layout. Let's rename our event sheet that it created and call it our stats menu event. It's good that we added an event to go along with it because this doesn't pull from the main game events at all. We don't need it to. If we were making another level, we might want it to pull from the main game event and we wouldn't need to make an event sheet along with it, but this is going to work out perfectly. So let's change the layout size here for this new layout. Let's make it 640 by 480. It doesn't matter how big it is because we're going to be working in the window size, but it was just too unruly. We don't need it to be that ginormous. Because eventually what you could do is this window size, the dotted line, if you go into the properties here, we can make it 640 by 480, and then all of this becomes our stats menu. If you wanted to have other stats than what we're going to add, you could have just a whole entire list of it, and you could pop it up at any time. But we're just going to be adding validation for our player to enter his name, so we don't need that big of a layout or window size. So let's double click and let's get started. We are going to add two form controls. We're going to add a button and a text box. Let's add the text box and let's call it txt underscore player input. Okay, and let's double click and add the button and let's call this btn underscore enter world. And then the final thing we're going to do is we're going to add a text object versus a sprite font object. We're going to add these later, but right now we're going to add a text object so when it comes to actually just coloring text, we can do it really easily. Let's call it txt underscore validation. And we're going to go into our player input properties and we're going to set the placeholder text to say enter your name here, ... or 2 dots. There we go. And we're going to set the tooltip to be please input your name. So the tooltip is when you actually hover over with your mouse, and the placeholder is going to be when you click in this text box, it's going to disappear, and that way you just know we don't have to put another text saying this is where you enter your name. So there we go. Let's change the button text to be enter world, and let's make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and let's actually change the background color of this layer. So go into the layers and let's make it something a little bit more, okay, that's too dark. Let's make it something that you can see, something colorful. That's fine. And let's hit play on this and let's see what this looks like. So enter your name here. My name is Jeremy. Enter world does nothing. And this is very basic and you can spend a lot of time customizing this. And our text does look blurry because this is not a sprite font object. Our sprite font object would look not blurry, but I'll show you why in the next lecture as to why we have this be a text object versus something else. So yeah, if I put my mouse cursor over, please input your name. My name is Jeremy, and we are good to go. That's it for this lecture. I'll see you in the next one.